were famous.
A couple years ago.
The drill sensation.
Basically, I was doing it with my friends and shit in lunchroom.
Cblu is a promising up-and-coming artist based out of the Bronx who had only just started to release music and work his way up the industry food chain. And something happened that nearly wound up costing him everything. In early 2022, Cblu was accused of shooting a cop during a struggle over the teen's stolen weapon after he was part of what authorities are calling a disorderly crowd gathered outside a building near 3rd Avenue in New York City. Like in most cases, media attention around this arrest would wind up only elevating Cblu higher in the drill rap scene. And a record deal with Interscope would allow this young kid to post bail.
Everything happens for a reason.
I don't know my schedule.
The facts always come out. Whatever happens in the dark is gonna come to the light.
Facts.
That's what basically happened.
But is everything as it seems in this case? And is Cblu really to blame for what happened? If you've ever wanted to discover more about this teenager's come up and hear the true story behind his altercation with the authorities, then keep watching our newest episode of Before They're Famous to find out. But before we get into all the details, please remember to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications to make sure you never miss a single episode. And without further ado, let's get right into today's story. Cblu was born Carmen Williams in New York City sometime in 2005. This Bronx kid grew up smart, and he says he used to dedicate himself to his education in his early years.
Facts, yeah, I bet about school shit still facts.
Word.
You gotta be smart and shit.
In fact, Blue says that he was especially interested in biochemistry thanks to his love for the Matt Damon film, The Martian, and was even on track to attend college to study science in greater depth. Look at Matt Damon influencing the youth. But then, two things sidetracked him. The first is when he found himself wrapped up in gang-like activities upon becoming a teenager. In fact, he's even pleaded guilty to criminal possession of a weapon for being caught with a firearm at only 14 years old.
Me personally, I grew up good. I had a mom that fed me, but it really depends on how you make your life really in the Bronx.
Now, the second thing that sidetracked Blue from his education was much more positive. I'm talking, of course, about his music career. While hanging out with his friends, Blue got hooked on the tracks of rappers like Lil Pump, and soon enough, he was writing down his own lyrics about buying guns and taking on his ops in the Bronx. I mean, that's how everybody's introduction to music starts, right? Kind of want to get back at your ops, right? Maybe your ops are on the block, maybe they're at the basketball court.
Bro, the way niggas say ops sounds so cringy, bro.
Maybe they're at the hair salon. Everybody's got ops, you know? You don't have to be a gangster to have ops.
Used to be in school, chilling with my friends and shit, making beats, making songs and and one day, I was like, fuck, we take this serious.
After dropping songs with titles like No Ozone Part 2 and Not a Diss, all before the age of 16, Blue would then catch the eye of his old friend Kate Flock and collaborate with him on What Y'all Wanna Do and Treachy. Unfortunately, shortly thereafter, Flock would find himself arrested in December of 2021 for allegedly shooting a man outside of a Manhattan barbershop. About a month prior to that, Blue had stopped attending in-person classes and began homeschool, after his fame had become too much of a distraction for both himself and the other kids at his original high school. I gotta say, that's like the rap version of getting drafted into the NBA as like a high school kid, you know? Like you can't even go to class because you're so famous. Should be everyone's goal. This decision also allowed Blue to better focus on how to break through into the upper echelon of the city's drill scene, something that seemed poised to happen at any moment, right up until the time that Cblu found himself arrested for shooting a cop. On January 18th, 2022, Cblu and a group of others were outside a building in the Bronx, which authorities would characterize as a disorderly gathering. When this group was approached by police, the cops demanded that Cblu remove his pants from his pockets.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Something ain't right.
Rather than do so, Cblu and the officer Kasim Pennant began to tussle back and forth with one another. During the scuffle, a firearm tucked into Blue's pants was discharged and shot through the rapper's leg, grazing the leg of the officer as well.
That we are endangering the lives of children by allowing children.
I hate Eric Adams. That nigga just eat up.
To
This nigga just eats. That's what he does. He's just an eater. This nigga's a munch.
Both individuals were rushed to St. Barbana's Hospital, where they
St. Barnabas, bro. I said Barbanus. It's Barnabas, bro.
On children.
Both individuals were rushed to St. Barbana's Hospital, where they both recovered from relatively minor injuries. Cblu, however, was subsequently placed under arrest. Now, this was not good considering he was already on probation from his earlier firearm charge at the age of 14. In fact, during his arraignment in
Niggas actually use that? That's on 161. I didn't know actually. But I haven't seen niggas actually go inside and out. I've always walked past. I've never seen it be active.
Bronx Supreme Court Assistant DA Joseph Maniscalco did his best to paint Cblu as a gun-toting menace to society. During the arraignment, he said, "This defendant has taken to social media and appeared multiple times displaying a firearm that looks similar to the firearm he possessed in the incident." On the opposite side of things, Blue's attorney, Don Florio, would claim that the officers piled on top of her client during the incident. While his weapon was discharged, Blue was not the one who pulled the trigger and was never actually in possession of a weapon.
When they piled on top of him, he became a victim because the gun went off and he was shot in the groin. And when he was shot in the groin, that same bullet went out through his thigh, and that same bullet grazed the police officer in his leg.
She even took things a step further by insinuating that Blue was targeted simply because he was well on his way to becoming a popular rapper. Yeah. And she further claimed that Cblu's original arrest at 14 was improper because the weapon was found unloaded and only being used for filming a music video. An initial attempted murder charge was eventually downgraded to criminal possession of a weapon, second-degree assault, and other weapons-related charges, all of which Cblu would plead not guilty to. Bronx Supreme Court Justice Dennis Boyle would then set Blue's bond at $2,500. Yeah.
2,500.
$250,000, which he
$250,000
was able to afford thanks to signing a deal with Interscope Records just weeks before this all went down. This turnabout
$250,000 bail is crazy.
Greatly upset many high-up officials, perhaps none more so than the mayor of New York City, Eric Adams, who condemned Blue's ability to post bail, stating that New Yorkers should all be outraged that a repeat offender accused of shooting a police officer is today walking free on bond, because judges are precluded from even considering danger to the community, like every other state and our federal courts.
Look at
this. It is further proof that our system
up.
is failing us. Well, if he wasn't happy about Blue posting bail, I can only imagine how he feels about what came next. The authorities' case really began to fall apart in March of 2022. That's when Bronx Supreme Court Justice Natalia Samaj was assigned to the case, after it was transformed from audit court to family court due to Blue's young age. And this judge wound up seeing things very differently from her predecessor. She took the authorities to task for Blue's arrest, calling their accusations and testimony both unreliable and self-serving. She also cast doubt on the legality of the original search of this teenage artist by suggesting that Blue did everything he could to comply with the officer's demands at the time of the arrest. By May of 2022, all charges against Blue had officially been dropped, and the city was prevented from prosecuting him any further. And while this would be seen as justice to many, others were far less inclined to look at it that way. A statement released to the media by the New York Law Department would read in part, "Just because the city cannot persecute does not mean the individual should not have been carrying an illegal weapon. A weapon that contributed to both him and an officer being shot." As for Cblu, well, as you can probably imagine, he and his representation were thrilled at the outcome.
What are you saying?
In fact, he'd soon hop on the TikTok to post a video that got his point across without even uttering a single word. Pursuant to family court law, Blue's case was then sealed and further prosecution is no longer possible. Since then, Blue has gone on to release a string of new hit singles with titles like Fresh Home, Stop Dissing, and Drip. He's currently deep into recording his debut EP, and his hope at this still early stage in his career is that he'll be able to earn enough money in the near future to move his mom from out of the hood, where he spent his entire life up until this point. Now, will he be able to achieve this goal? Well, we're gonna have to wait and see.
Nigga, is that Uzi on a candle?
And after all, this is before they were famous. Thank you everybody for watching, and please take a moment to leave your thoughts on what went down with Cblu and the New York City legal system in the comment section down below. And once you're finished with that, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. If you'd like to check